In May 2018, just a few months after losing his seat to Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko, Dr. Evans Kidero attended a function in Homabay County, in Rangwe constituency, in Asumbi village. That's where he was born, to help raise funds for Wikoteng Secondary School. That was the first major public appearance Dr. Evans Kidero was making after losing his seat in Nairobi. And during that time, speculations were so high that Dr. Evans Kidero was actually shifting his political base from Nairobi to Homabay. And during that time, for those who followed politics in this country, Governor Awiti and Oyugi Magwanga were battling in court. And most people believed that Awiti was going to lose that court petition. So most people believed by that time, and because that was the first time people started speculating that Evans Kidero was actually shifting to Homabay. Most people believed Awiti was going to lose that petition, and that ODM party was also not going to give the ticket to Yugi Magwanga. So they believed Kidero was positioning himself for the battle. But when he was given the chance to speak at that function, Dr. Evans Kidero made it very clear that he had no intention of shifting his political base from Nairobi to Homabay, and specifically to participate or to challenge Cyprian Awiti at that time. So that was the first time this story of Governor Evans Kidero coming to Homabay began. And I want to tell you today that Evans Kidero is going to contest in Homabay as a governor. And because Evans Kidero has a name, his entry into Homabay politics is actually complicating matters for the ODM party in Homabay as far as the succession politics is concerned. So today I want us to look at the prospect of Evans Kidero in Homabay County and how his entry into that politics is affecting various politicians from the county. But before we do that, if you're watching this video for the first time, I want you to take a second or two and click the subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Now take it from me, Evans Kidero is going to contest for the Homabay Gubernatorial seat in 2022. He's already laying an elaborate plan for that. He's reaching out to people. Evans Kidero has already activated his ground network in the village. And for those who've been following Evans Kidero, you should have realized that Evans Kidero has been spending a lot of his time in the village. He's been captured on camera severally on a border, just touring with the villagers there, just walking to the market. So Evans Kidero is actually shifting his base from Nairobi to Homabay. Who is Evans Kidero? Evans Kidero is the immediate former governor for Nairobi. He served for only one term. And many people believed, like I do, that Kidero did not really lose the Nairobi gubernatorial seat. And if he lost, it was because of two reasons. The first reason is the algorithm. That Jubilee Party really wanted Nairobi. Because without Nairobi, it was going to be very difficult for them to govern. So they identified Mike Sonko and exploited the algorithm. Remember, Mike Sonko is a Kamba, and Nairobi politics was actually between Kikuyu versus the rest of Kenya. So if Jubilee sponsored Mike Sonko, who was a Kamba, and then he managed to bring Kamba votes, then his chance of winning was so high. But most people believe that the algorithm did the magic for Sonko. And number two, most people also believe that Governor Kidero lost the Nairobi gubernatorial seat because of politics. He didn't really play politics the way he ought to have played. that politics is local. He failed to understand that the people who voted for him were ODM. And these people are lawyers, they are Luos, they are Kisis, and they are the people of the coastal regions and Somalis in Nairobi. So when he became the governor, his chief of staff, that's what most people say, really did not care about these people. So Kidero did not really connect with these people. And that's why Sonko was then able now to come to Kibra, where most of his supporters, Kidero supporters, were, with water buzzers, instead of Kidero providing them with clean water. So because of those two reasons, Kidero lost. And after losing his seat, Kidero conceded. And at some point, there was speculation that he was going to be made a minister. That did not happen. And later on, Kidero was being dragged to court. And I'm sure that Kidero has already cleared most of those court cases and is now set to make a comeback through Homabay. And how is he affecting the other candidates? Let us look at the numbers in Homabay. Homabay has around 8 constituencies to be precise. There is Kasipul, which has 57,000 registered voters as per the last election, represented by Ongondowere. Then there is Kabondo Kasipul, represented in parliament by Ivo Bara, has around 49,000 registered voters. Then there's the Rangwe constituency, represented by Lilian Gogo, which has around 52,000 as per the last election. Then there is the Homabay town, represented by Opondo Kaloma, has around 50,000 registered voters. Then there's Ndewa constituency, represented in parliament by Martin Ward Chief, has around 85,000 registered voters. Then there is Karachuonyo, also has around 84,000 registered voters, represented in parliament by Adipo Okuome. And then there's the Suba South, represented in parliament by John Mbadi, has around 46,000 registered voters. And then there's the Suba North, which is represented in parliament by Millie Odhiambo, has 51,000 registered voters. And by the way, it's only in Homabay County where the 2/3 gender rule was fulfilled in parliament. They elected 3 women, 3 very powerful women. Out of 8, so we have 3. So it's actually past the 2/3. And the Homabay Gubernatorial seat has already attracted, I think, around 5 candidates so far. There is John Mbadi at number 1. John Mbadi comes from Suba South. John Mbadi is the ODM national chairman. He has served in parliament, I think, 3 or 4 times. So John Mbadi is eyeing that seat. And as an ODM chairperson, he has an advantage. But the entry of Kidero has complicated matters for him. Let us look at the figures. Mbadi comes from Suba South. So let's say Suba South and North has around 97,000 registered voters. So his hopes were to get a running mate from, say, Karachuonyo, and probably someone else running as a senator, just craft a team. Then there is Gladys Wanga, the women rep, who is actually the front runner as we speak. Gladys has an advantage. Number 1, having campaigned in the county, she already has a network there. And even in the last election, Gladys Wanga was one of the most popular politicians from Homabay County. She didn't even have a competitor. And that's why she was appointed as the chairperson of the Nyanza presidential campaign team. So Gladys Wanga is married or comes from Rangwe constituency. Rangwe has around 52,000 registered voters. So you can add Homabay town, because Homabay town was part of the larger Rangwe. So that's 102,000 registered voters. Then Gladys Wanga had hoped to get Karachuonyo and other, because she's been a women rep. Very popular. But the entry of Kidero complicates matters for her. Because Kidero also comes from Rangwe. So complicates matters now for Gladys Wanga. Then there is Oyugi Magwanga, the person who gave Awiti a hell of time in the last election. Very lethal campaigner. Was a member of parliament for Kabondo when it was still big. So it was divided into Kasipul and Kabondo Kasipul. Kasipul has around 57, then Kabondo Kasipul has 49. So over 100,000. And remember, the two constituencies and Karachuonyo constituency, they share a history. It was one big constituency before. Jokonyango Rabala. So it adds to, you add Karachuonyo, which has 84. So already he has an upper hand. But will he click this time around? Then there is Isaiah Ogwe, the county secretary, who served with Awiti since that time up to now. Will he manage? Will he continue with Awiti's legacy? And then there is Koreko. I think he's a minister there for finance. And then there is Moses Kajwang, the current senator. Moses Kajwang is also eyeing the seat, although he has not come out clearly. But within ODM party, there's the talk that actually is the one who is being preferred by Raila Odinga. So the entry of Kidero into this race has actually complicated matters for these guys. What is not clear yet is whether Kidero is going to run on ODM ticket or in Kanu. If he's going to run on ODM ticket, then it's likely to give these guys a problem. But if he's going to run on Kanu ticket, then that's going to be a different ballgame. And people are saying, because I normally get a lot of gossips, people are saying that Kidero might run on Kanu ticket. And they tell me that already George Wainaina, who was his chief of staff in Nairobi, already defected to Kanu and currently very active in Kanu. Already, one of his close advisors, John Osogo, who was very close to him and still very close to him, has also joined the Kanu. So political pundits argue that those guys are actually paving way for Kidero to join Kanu. But his team are insisting that Kidero is going to run on an ODM ticket. And on the ground, people are advising Kidero that for him to succeed in Homabay, he must do away with his hang-ons, the Nairobi team, because this is the same team which was accused of undermining Kidero when Kidero was the governor for Nairobi. They made Kidero fight battles which were actually not his. For example, Kidero at some point was engaged in succession politics in Nyanza instead of Nairobi, things like those. But Kidero has an advantage over these other candidates. Number one, when it comes to resources, I don't think any of these aspirants will be able to match Kidero with campaign resources. And having campaigned in Nairobi, campaigning in the village is not going to be a problem for Kidero. In Nairobi, you give someone 1,000 bob, he doesn't appreciate. In the village, you give someone 1,000 bob, it becomes a story. He prays for you actually. Number two, Kidero is also viewed as someone who has the potential of succeeding Raila Odinga in future. Because let's face it, that talk is in Nyanza. And when Kidero was elected as the governor for Nairobi in 2013, the hopes were so high that ultimately there was a successor to Raila Odinga. But because he was not patient enough, he tried what Ruto is trying to do with Uhuru Kenyatta. He tried to outshine Raila Odinga in Nyanza with the advice of the Nairobi team, people who misled him. And because people in Nyanza today, there's nobody who you can say can succeed Raila Odinga. There's Obado, there is Babu Owino, who is still very young. Orengo is almost Raila Odinga's age mate, Nyong'o, yeah? So the only guy now emerging is Evans Kidero. So the people of Homabay would want to elect Evans Kidero so as to continue carrying the mantle from Raila Odinga. Assuming Raila Odinga is going to contest in 2022 and is going to win, then probably because, as Murade said, it's going to be a Mandela moment, which means it's going to be a transitional president, serving for only 5 years. Then from there now, Kidero would have served as the governor for Homabay, would have fixed and created a name for himself, because in Nairobi, he really didn't create his name. So he would have created this name in Homabay, then would have emerged now as the success. Number 3, why I think Kidero might also succeed is that there's the urge for Kidero himself to leave a legacy in Kenyan politics. He succeeded in Nairobi by becoming the governor, but no legacy was left in Nairobi. And that's debatable. Some people believe that Kidero actually performed, that the only problem in Nairobi were the cartels. And they give the example of Sonko, who failed terribly after Kidero. So because of the need to leave a legacy, Kidero will do everything possible to win Homabay so that he can fix certain problems in Homabay and leave a legacy. And lastly, I think sympathy is also going to work in favor of Kidero. You all witness Kidero being dragged to court. He believes, and his allies believe, that he was being dragged to court because he didn't have an office. So these guys might provide Kidero with an office as part of that sympathy. I don't know what you think, but from where I am, Kidero's entry into Homabay Gubernatorial seat has complicated matters for Raila Odinga's party in Homabay County. Let me hear your thoughts on this. If you're watching this video for the first time, please take a second or two and click subscribe button so that next time you produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. Thank you guys, and please, may you have a good day. Leo nimekaa vibaya kwa hii kiti, haikuwa straight. So I think nimestrain kuangalia kamera. Bye bye.